everybody, my name's Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the Anne of Green Gables book tag, which is a brand new tag created by Megan Hannett, and she was kind enough to tag me in it, so I'm very excited to do it. Actually, when I saw that she had made it, I immediately thought to myself, ooh, I really hope Megan tagged me because honestly I'm gonna do it anyways. And I was very happy to see that she did tag me. So thank you, Megan. For me, it's the perfect time to do this tag because at the beginning of the year I started doing the Anne-along with Tia from Tia and All the Books and Amanda from the Curly Reader, and we are reading through the entire series of Anne of Green Gables. And I hadn't read Anne of Green Gables since I was a kid, and so it's been really fun rereading it and then continuing on with the series with everybody and discussing it. So this is just the perfect time to answer these questions. There are spoilers in this tag for Anne of Green Gables, at least the first book. I won't talk about anything in the series after the first book, but the spoilers are kind of built into the questions. So if you would like to read Anne of Green Gables, but you haven't done so yet, definitely click away from this video if you don't want to be spoiled. The first question is accidental adoption. Matthew and Marilla meet Anne by mistake. How did you discover Anne of Green Gables? So I read Anne of Green Gables when I was probably more like Anne's age in the book, and I had this mass market paperback edition that I think was even a used copy because I remember it being kind of beat up when I got it. And since then it has fallen apart completely. I wish I knew what edition it was. It had like this blue cover and it had kind of a nice pretty picture on the front of it. I had this old edition of it and I read it maybe a couple times when I was a kid. And I just remember really loving it and it being fun to me even at that age. And then I had honestly no idea that there was even a series. So knowing that it's a series now, I wish I had been able to continue on when I was like growing up and then I would have read the books as I grew up, but that's okay. Honestly, there's some kind of adult content as they go, as Anne grows up, and so I'm kind of glad that I only read the first book when I was a kid and I could kind of relate to Anne being her age. Question number 2, puffed sleeves and shabby dresses. What is your favorite Matthew scene and your favorite Marilla scene? I actually really loved Matthew from the beginning. Chapter 2 is, I believe, called Matthew Cuthbert is Surprised. And in Chapter 2, he's riding with Anne in the wagon and she's just talking his ear off completely. And he's just sitting there quietly listening and can't really get a word in. But for Matthew, it's kind of a good thing because he's such an introverted person and he needs someone to bring him out of his shell. So he and Anne become kindred spirits right away, really. And I really enjoy kind of the humor of Anne just keeps talking and then Matthew is just silent and can't get a word in. Actually, I watched Anne with an E recently and they do that scene, I thought, really well. It was very fun to watch. But I think my very favorite Matthew scene is actually when Matthew stands up for Anne when he's talking to Marilla about whether or not they should take her back because she's not a boy and she can't really help with the labor-intensive farm work, which is what they were initially looking for when they adopted a child. And in that early scene in the book, we get to see Matthew's true character. He talks about how they could be good for Anne and they could be a blessing to Anne and that she needs this. She needs some parent kind of figures in her life. And to Marilla, it hasn't really occurred to her yet that they could be that for her. So you get to see Matthew's heart very early on, and so that's really, I think, the moment that I connected with Matthew the most. And my favorite Marilla scene is when Marilla chastises Mrs. Lynde, Rachel Lynde, because Rachel Lynde has been very rude to Anne and calls her skinny and homely and makes fun of her hair, and you know Anne just does not stand for that. So Anne darts out the room and says how mean she is, and Marilla, instead of coming to Mrs. Lynde's rescue, Marilla stands up for Anne and says, yeah, that was a rude thing to say. Excuse you. So that's probably my favorite Marilla moment, when you kind of see like she's a feisty lady and she will stand up for what she believes in. Question number 3, red roads. What is your favorite location in LM Montgomery's glorious PEI setting? I mean, I love anywhere we go in Avonlea. My favorite parts of the series are when we're in Avonlea. I know we do get to see Anne kind of travel outside of Avonlea and have adventures elsewhere, but it's all about Avonlea. Actually, funny enough, I am playing a lot of Animal Crossing right now, and I named my island Avonlea. I might make it an Anne of Green Gables themed island, but that's a topic for another day. But one of my favorite things about Anne is that she gives places names that they don't have, but she just gives them like romantic names. So the Haunted Wood or the Lake of Shining Waters. I love that Anne gives places those specific names because it actually, as a reader, kind of also helps you to have a picture for the atmosphere of that certain place and kind of how Anne perceives it. Question number 4, Kindred Spirits. Which of Anne's kindred spirits do you relate to the most? I think I might relate to Matthew a lot, actually, because he is definitely a more quiet person. You probably can't tell this about me from my YouTube channel, but I am a more quiet person in groups, and I tend to be the person to kind of hang back and not say anything and kind of watch the situation first. And so I feel like me and Matthew are similar in our personalities that way. In the same way, I also kind of feel like I'm a Diana type of character. I would definitely latch onto a friend like Anne who is more like free-spirited than me, and she could definitely like allow me to be loose and carefree like what happens with Diana, because Diana is brought up to be a very proper young lady and her mom is very strict, and so I feel like I could also find some alignment there with Diana as well. And I think Anne really helps Diana to have fun, and I've definitely been thankful for those types of friends in my life who've kind of gotten me to loosen up a little bit. Question number 5 is Broken Slate. What brought out the strongest emotions in you? I don't think there's a more emotional part of the book other than Matthew's death at the end. I definitely had tears. I know a lot of other people in our read-along had tears at this part. I didn't remember it from childhood and I didn't remember that happening, but it's definitely quite the blow because you become so attached to these characters, and for Anne to have kind of a father figure in her life and then for him to be taken away just too abruptly. It was really sad. So that's definitely, for me, I think the most emotional part of the book. Also, another really moving moment is when Anne's explaining to Marilla that she's not going to college yet. She's going to stick around close and help out Marilla. And she decides to teach at the local school so that she can be close by. And I think that's a really touching moment as well, because you see the selflessness of Anne and you see her put aside what her motives were and her dreams and hopes, and she puts her family first. She puts Marilla first. So that too was a really moving moment in the book. Question number 6, Raspberry Cordial. What surprised you the most? Actually, the raspberry cordial scene was very surprising. I didn't expect them to be portrayed as getting drunk as little kids. That was definitely a surprising moment, and is one of those things that, like, I wonder if we had a book like this now, we probably wouldn't even try to depict that kind of thing because it would probably be too controversial. So it was a very surprising moment in the book because I can't imagine these 2 little girls getting accidentally drunk. Question number 3, green hair. What did not turn out the way you wanted it to? I don't know exactly how to answer this question because I think this book is wonderful, and I don't know if there's anything I would change, but I guess if I had to say something, I wish Matthew didn't have to die. I would like him to continue in the series a little bit more and be a little more part of Anne's life as she grows up. So yeah, I guess if I could change something, maybe Matthew would stick around a little longer. But then again, it's also such a defining moment in the book. So I don't know, it's hard to decide that, but there's not a lot in this book that I would change. I love this book. Question number 8, carrots. What is your favorite Anne and Gilbert moment? Definitely the ending when they reconcile and Gilbert walks her home and they chat And then it's also revealed that Gilbert has taken his application away from the local school so that Anne could have it. And that's definitely the moment that you realize, like, oh, Gilbert loves Anne. Yes, this is going to happen. And that was also a really selfless thing for him to do, and it just goes to show like how much he cares about her and has, noticed her suffering and her struggles, and that he wants the best for her. So definitely the ending scene, and Gilbert's walking her home and they're chatting and talking about how they're not going to be rivals anymore, they're going to be friends. So I think that's just the sweetest Anne and Gilbert scene. Question number 9, walking the ridgepole. LM Montgomery balances a lot of different storylines. Which is your favorite? One of my favorite storylines is Anne and Diana's friendship and their adventures together and how they grow closer to each other. Anne and Diana have just one of the sweetest friendships I've ever seen in a children's novel. So Anne and Diana for sure. I really enjoy that we have such a strong female friendship portrayed in this book. Also, Anne and Gilbert's competition is very fun to read, and there's so many moments too when Gilbert is trying to kind of hold out the olive branch to Anne, and Anne's just like, no. So while I did get frustrated with Anne sometimes, and I wanted her to forgive Gilbert so they could be friends sooner than the end of the book, it is also a fun story thread to follow, and it's definitely like a repeating theme throughout the book is her competition with Gilbert. Question number 10, the Lily Maid. Just as Anne and her friends play characters from a favorite story, who would you want to play in Anne of Green Gables? Well, I'm not an actress in any sense of the word, but Diana, I feel like I could play pretty well. I think I could be a decent Diana. I could follow Anne around and be her friend and kind of be the more like calm presence in Anne's life. I don't know if I could be Anne, because Anne is very dramatic, and I think you would have to like turn on the waterworks a lot to play Anne if you were acting her. So I don't think I could be dramatic enough for Anne, but I think I could do a decent Diana. And then number 11 is tag some kindred spirits. I know Megan tagged a lot of the people who are already doing the read-along. I think I'm going to go with Berna's Bookish Adventures, because I know she's also reading these right now. And then I'm going to go for Krista from Books and Jams. I'm pretty sure that Krista has read Anne of Green Gables. And then if you've read Anne of Green Gables and I just didn't know that, please feel free to do the tag. I wanted to tag a few other people, but I wasn't really sure who's read this book and who hasn't. So please go ahead and do it if you want to. And be sure to check out Megan's original video too. I'll have that link down below. Thank you for watching my video today. I had a lot of fun talking about Anne of Green Gables with you. If you want to keep up with my bookish content, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon down below if you want to be notified every time I post. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.